IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach. And today we're going to be talking about something that has picked up a lot of steam in the recent years, the whole concept of detoxing. And I deep dived into this with our guest when I went to their retreat in January. And, there is so many mysteries around this world of detoxing. Why should we be detoxing? What are these toxins that are there in our body that we need to get out of our system? And deep diving into these things was so interesting because there are so many different techniques of detoxing. Today, what we're going to be talking about are relaxed ways of detoxing. And the next podcast we're going to do is about intensive ways of detoxing. So let's understand what are the styles of detoxing that we can do in a relaxed manner with our guest today, Dr. Vignesh Devraj. Dr. Vignesh, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Ashdin. It's always a pleasure to have this discussion with you, which is so enlightening to me and for all of us.
Doctor, I just love the way you talk about Ayurveda and make it so simple for people to understand, and especially me to understand, because I love geeking out about these things. And Ayurveda has such a simple way of, categorizing these various concepts. Like detoxing, for example. In a world where everything can be a detox tea, detox ye, detox wo, what does detoxing actually mean? Like, why do we need to detox? Like, shouldn't our bodies be doing it naturally?
Ashdin, yes, definitely. Our body is a detoxing mechanism in nature. In fact, the word for human body in Ayurveda, in Sanskrit, it's called as Sharira. And if you look at the definition of the word Sharira, it is Shiryate Anena Iti Shariram, which actually means our body is a constant perishing mechanism, which also means we are a constant waste eliminating mechanism. Every split seconds, 7 billion cells in our liver are dying and the new cells are being formed. Every 4 months, we are eliminating the red blood cells are dying and the new red blood cells are being formed. So every moment, we are eliminating some waste from our system. And every cell is being eliminating some of its waste it doesn't need, and the new nutrient is entering and the new cells are being formed. So this dying and being born, this is a constant way to say if something is alive. And that is why our body is called as Sharira. And now, if you take the root meaning of this, what's the difference between a living body and a dead body? A living body is a constantly waste eliminating mechanism, and dead body stops eliminating completely. One example we tell is, when you're on a highway and you see a big coal factory, and how do you know that factory is functioning? You see a lot of fumes coming out. So waste elimination is a sign of life. So our body is a natural waste eliminating mechanism, but today what has happened is, we tend to consume more than what our body can detox naturally. So that is why we are having so much of, and to give a more logic behind that. See, in Ayurveda, one of my teachers, he used to always say it's a science of common sense. And he would say that any disease that you take in a human body, we can classify it into two types: diseases of overconsumption and diseases of malnourishment. Sometimes we are not eating, and then, that can lead to a lot of energy depletion, and people can die if there is no food for a long period. And when was the last time you heard somebody died because there was no food? Maybe you might read in news because somebody got lost in a desert or in a ship and there's no food and they died. Even then, you read Life of Pi. He survived even in the ocean. But today, the possibility of somebody dying because of lack of food is very, very minimal, like 0.%. But today, you hear so many people dying because of heart attack. So many people that are dying today, it is because of diseases of overconsumption. And why this disease of overconsumption is because our food production has gone over the roof. It's an exponential growth. And that is why India is the diabetic capital of the world. Obesity is rampant. High blood pressure is rampant. Heart failure is happening. So that is why, because of the excess consumption and our body's lack of movement, which means our natural detoxing mechanism is also reduced, we are needing more and more detox than any other time. But at the same time, we need to understand our body is one of the best natural detoxing system on its own. But on the other hand, because our consumption is too much, we needed to create an artificial environment so that we can eliminate better. So that's the logic why we need more detox.
So that is why detoxing is so important. So what are some of the fad detoxes that you've seen that don't really work, or things that are probably misleading?
See, there are so many ways. First of all, we need to understand who needs a detox. Sometimes if somebody is suffering from anorexia, bulimia, if that person does a detox, it's the worst thing that they can do for themselves. And sometimes detox is not just about consuming through your mouth, it's also consuming to your head. Detox is not just about food, it's also about the junk information that we get into our system. That can also be toxic. Sometimes we say, oh, I was in a toxic relationship. Even relationship can be toxic. And sometimes you are following something that is quite toxic to you. So toxins are some things that can block the natural flow of your energy cycle in your body. So we need to understand, where do we have to do a detox? So the question is something blocking you? Do you feel stuck in your life? Do you feel stuck because your energy is low? Or even being stuck in your mind? Whenever the word stuck is a sign that somewhere I need to cleanse. And what is stuck? Stuck means something is not flowing naturally. So that is where we need to and so many people, they come up with concepts of intermittent fasting. You can fast for some time. And even in many religions, we have seasonal fastings. And there are so many ways of doing that. One of the most important detoxing system that we all do every day is sleep. That is one thing. And then the other one is movement. When we move, we are allowing the body to eliminate a lot of toxins, because movement helps the body's blood pressure to regulate, and we activate the lymphatic system and we sweat it out. And also it increases the metabolism. So like that, there are so many methods of daily detoxing which we are doing without our knowledge. But those are the natural methods. As long as we stick to those basics, we don't need to do the intensive detox. It is when we don't get into that rhythm, when our natural detoxing method is hampered, that is when we are forced to undergo an intensive detox therapy.
Interesting. So you mentioned a few of these natural detox methods, like sleep.
Yes.
So what happens in sleep? How does sleep detox you?
Now, see, Ashdin, in Ayurveda, we say that, like we talk about diseases of overconsumption and diseases of malnourishment. And it says that treating diseases of overconsumption is more difficult than treating diseases of undernourishment. Like, for example, if somebody is dehydrated, they just need to drink water. But on the other hand, if somebody is having high levels of uric acid or cholesterol, it's not so easy to get it out of the system, because the body has a way that you cannot eliminate so fast. But our consumption can be unlimited, but our elimination is limited. So that is why treating diseases of overconsumption is much more difficult, because it takes more time, it takes more willpower, and you need a lot of patience to undergo that. And when you go to sleep, what is happening is you are giving a break. Your muscles are relaxed. Your blood is not involved in making you think or making some of the muscle activity going on. And the liver is having undivided attention with the blood to purify it. So sleep is a way we are completely disengaged with the external world, and we are so focused with our own calm factor. So at that time, our body tends to detox. See, every moment our body is detoxing. That is why it's called, our body is a constant detoxing mechanism. That is when people say, I do all the great habits, but just by cancelling on sleep, they cancel out all the other good habits. So that is why we say in Ayurveda, Nidra is the first step of vitality. And that is why, because Nidra is a great detoxing thing, not just for your physical body, including for your mind and for your nervous system. So that is one of the techniques.
Love it. Okay, so if you ever want to start detoxing properly, first get your sleep in check.
I mean, that is such a big thing that's going to change.
Right? We just celebrated World Sleep Day on Friday.
Exactly.
And it is so important that you're saying this, because I just did a podcast on how important sleep is, and the way that your mind detoxes, or your brain rather, not your mind, detoxes during this time, which is your cerebrospinal fluid actually does the cleaning at that point of time when you're sleeping. It doesn't happen any time during the day. So sleep is such an important cleansing time for our body. Then the second you mentioned was exercise. How is exercise detoxing? I thought exercise was all about pushing hard, go home, that kind of a way.
See, exercise is, you're shaking up your whole body. It's the stagnant water that breeds malaria. The flowing water always refreshes itself. On one hand, yes, by doing exercise, we are giving some resistance to our muscles, and muscle is the organ for longevity. When your muscles are fantastic, you get to run, escape, and survive. And in Ayurveda also, we have these 7 dhatus or tissues. And muscle is the transformation from the blood to all the physical perceived objects in the body, like our fat, bones. All of this is starting from the muscle aspect. But more than that, what happens when we exercise? Our body is moving. When our body is moving, all the things that are stuck, it just moves out. And movement is a great way of activating the sleeping cells. And movement is a great way to enhance our elimination capacity. See, what happens when you put things for laundry? It keeps moving. The movement is what helps to take the flush, the waste out. So in Ayurveda, how to understand a person's metabolism is fantastic. They say that when a person is eating food, the ability of the body to assimilate the nutrients and eliminate the waste. How efficiently it is doing this will help that. So this ability to accept what is important and eliminate what is not, that is where this whole concept is. And people today, what is happening is, you see, all the diseases of overconsumption is lack of body's ability to assimilate what is important and eliminate what is not important. Because we are tending to accept things that are waste and holding on to all the waste into our body. That is why people say, I eat little, but I put on weight fast. Some people say, I eat a lot, even then I don't put on weight. Because the body's pattern of holding on to the unnecessary things is higher and people's metabolism is low. So when you do exercise, you are training the body every day. I need only what is important. Because when the body is exercising, it needs enough nutrients. So the body cannot handle, it doesn't have the luxury to store unwanted stuff. So that is why exercise is a fantastic manner. It is an aphrodisiac, it is a blood thinner. It is one of the techniques you do for longevity. But at the same time, there is one more thing mentioned in Ayurveda. Exercise must be done in half your strength. If you over-exercise, that can also trigger a lot of other problems. So half strength, how do I understand if my exercise is half strength? After the exercise, if you're feeling zoned out or tired or dehydrated, if there is too much of pain in the body, then you are overdoing it. But after the exercise, if you feel awakened, if you feel alert, you feel your whole body is energized, then bingo, that's the kind of exercise we need to indulge every day. So Beautiful. That's another way of looking.
Absolutely lovely. The way that we think about exercise should not be the go hard, go home. It should be this half measure of exercise, like you said. At the end of it, do you feel strong, tagda, full of life? Not tadka, tadka is what you put on your dals. Right? Do you feel strong after exercise, or do you actually feel dead after your exercise? Do not feel dead after your exercise. Like I tell people, once in a week, once in 2 weeks, if you want to push yourself to the limit, perfectly fine. But you cannot do that every single day. You have to be wary of that. And Dr. Vignesh, we're going to take a quick break here and come back to discuss the remaining techniques.
Okay.
Did you know that most breakfast options are mostly just carbs and little else? The Whole Truth has introduced a range called The Perfect Breakfast. Muesli that comes in 3 delicious flavors: almond, cocoa crunch, quinoa cocoa crunch, and nuts, fruits, and seeds. When you eat this muesli, only 50% of your energy comes from complex carbs, the rest from healthy fats and proteins. Just visit thewholetruthfoods.com and use the coupon code HABIT on checkout to get an awesome 20% discount.
All right, Dr. Vignesh, welcome back. So we were discussing the detoxing techniques that are easy and that are part of our lifestyle. We spoke about sleep, we spoke about exercise. What is the next detoxing technique?
See, there is a technique in Ayurveda. It is said, we talk about food. We talk about which is the best time to eat. Should I eat when I'm hungry? Should I eat on time? So one of the first detoxing methods, this is not just in Ayurveda, it's around different cultures of the body. We talk about fasting. Now, fasting, it's a very, in some people say there are various types of fasting that are mentioned. But in Ayurveda, it is mentioned, you have to train your body in such a way that you are getting hungry on time. And fasting is a way that allows the body to eliminate it is like we call it clearance sale. All the things that are stuck in the storehouse. If you don't know what to do, clearance sale is a kind of fasting. They don't want to produce anything more. Let us just get rid of this so that we have space for something new to enter. Same way, the fasting is another way of calling it a clearance sale. You need to get rid of all the stuff that you don't need in the body. And in modern medicine or the Western physiology, when they explain, they talk about things like autophagy, where the dead cells are being eliminated and the fat is also being burnt and used. So there are so many things. In Ayurveda, we have this concept of ama. Ama is, when you eat something, and if the body is not able to assimilate the nutrients and mistake the waste as a nutrient and holding on to the waste in the body, that is called as ama. When the body's intelligence to understand what is the nutrient, and when instead of looking at the nutrient, it is taking the waste inside the body, that is called as ama. So the more of these waste materials that is stuck in your body, more tiredness will happen, your immune system will go down. And we will also talk about the origin of, germ theory, that I'll come back to it later. And that has a close relation with ama and how the modern medicine's concepts came, which is also important for our future, but at the same time, understanding that will help. So the more ama in your body, less energetic you will be, less focused you will be. So one of the ways is fasting helps to get rid of that. And it is not that you have to fast for a very long time and then what happens is people go and eat with both their hands. Fasting has to be in such a way that in the beginning you can start with, am I getting hungry before every meal? That's the first question you need to ask. If you're eating just for the sake of gastronomic pleasure, then something is wrong. So wait till you get hungry and then you eat little just to cheat the hunger. And make sure you have enough nutrients, all the wholesome meals. In Ayurveda, we call it all the 6 tastes are included in your food, not just one particular taste. That is why the people say the more sugar they eat, they feel more hungry. It's because it's just sugar. There is no other nutrients that their body needs. So the body wanting the other needs. So we took that, I want to eat more. So sometimes the cravings can be tricky. It's not that the cravings are tricky. It's just the body is asking for more. Like a child who cannot communicate, all it knows is just to cry. So we try with different things. Where the same way the body's cravings can show up in different ways. So we need to be intelligent enough to understand we need all the right amount of nutrients. So first thing is reducing the content of food. Second thing, making sure it has a holistic approach and all the food is there. And wait till your next meal is digested. You are hungry before the next meal. So that aspect will help you. And definitely bringing that routine will really help there.
Does Ayurveda talk about snacking in between meals, or does it say that you should just eat your big meals?
See, snacking is a snooze button for your hunger. It's like, okay, I feel hungry, but at the same time, this is not time for my real dinner or lunch. So maybe I will have that. Sometimes what happens, we snooze all the way that we realize we are past that time. Same way, sometimes the snacking can have too much of sugar. Then we realize we are not hungry for the dinner. Snacking is fine as long as it is not stopping you from your hunger on that time before your next food. So if the snacking is too heavy and you don't feel hungry before your next meal, then that snacking is dangerous. Dangerous in the sense, not once it will create a problem, but cumulatively after 3, 4, 6 months, you'll start seeing that your body starts getting bloating, acidity, all of that. So that is why snacking, eat something very light, that you just have a snooze button for your immediate hunger cravings. You just numb it for a time. But at the same time, your regular meal, you can handle it. So it just helps you to transit that period. Not that I eat a lot there.
It's not that it's a must that you have to do it. Like people say that I have to have my snacks. But it is like a snooze button, like you said. If you absolutely need to, okay, fine. Have a little bit, but not so much that your hunger disappears for your main meals.
Exactly. And see, Ashdin, we are so obsessed. I am hungry. I need to eat something. Sometimes we misunderstand what is that hunger that I need to satisfy and what is that hunger I need to endure it. See, when you're hungry and you're having a lot of headaches, when you feel deprived of your energy, sometimes people say when I drink coffee, I'm able to get rid of that. But that is a trained cravings, which is not healthy. But hunger is, okay, now my body needs some energy. Okay, when I'm walking, I'm feeling more tired and lethargic. In such kind of a situation, when you are having the healthy food and you feel energetic, then it is fine. But if you're hungry and if you're craving for unhealthy stuff, that craving is not healthy. You need to change that pattern and slowly get into healthy lifestyle. So that is why in Ayurveda, don't go cold turkey. Take it step by step. Because cold turkey means your body can show up withdrawal symptoms, and withdrawal symptoms can put you into the back to the square one.
Okay, so reduce it slowly, slowly, slowly. Don't do something dramatic.
Exactly.
Perfect. I'm very interested in this germ theory that you were talking about. What is that about?
See, as in today we are talking about why our germs are the cause of the disease. Now, let's just understand, why do we call a city beautiful? We call a city beautiful because of, could be with the architecture, could be because of great infrastructure. But the single most reason why we call a city beautiful is because it has a great waste management system. The waste management system is fantastic. And waste management system is not an easy thing. They really invest, they put systems and process, they put machines that can recycle, they segregate the waste, and only then the waste management is proper. So waste management is what makes a city beautiful, because there is cleanliness, there is beauty in that. Now, every city produces a lot of waste. Now, imagine a city goes on a strike with all the people who are supposed to do the waste recycling. They say that we need higher wages and we are not going to collect any more waste. So the waste starts piling up. So when the waste starts piling up, what happens is, it'll start attracting rats, it'll start attracting stray dogs, and then it'll start stinking. Now, what do these rats and stray dogs do? They go and eat this waste and distribute it throughout the city. So the city looks more filthier. Now imagine a new tourist is coming to the city and he sees that, oh my God, look at all the waste these rats and dogs are bringing. So now the only way I can save the city is I have to kill these rats and dogs. Now, that is where the concept of germ theory came up from. Louis Pasteur, during his times in Europe, whenever people fell sick, at that time the city's sanitization methods were not great. So people were falling sick with a lot of infectious diseases. And whenever he saw somebody is sick and he would check their body fluids, he saw that it is filled with germs or microbes. So he came to an understanding, germs are the cause of the disease. It is like saying rats and stray dogs are the cause of the pollution in the city. So we are missing out why the rats and the stray dogs are coming in the first place. What are feeding them? So in Ayurveda, we say, once you have a proper waste management system, you don't give space for these germs to survive. So calling a germ as the cause of the disease is as good as calling the rats as the cause of the pollution. Rats are only a triggering factor. Because the wastes were there, it is helping the rats to survive. And so in today's pandemic, we can say that the element of comorbidity, we call it comorbidity, depends on how much of toxins are present in that person's body. Sometimes the wastage is so much, it allows a lot of germs to survive in the body. So if you have an environment where a lot of germs, you can feed a lot of germs, then these germs will cling on to you. So first is get rid of that whatever is there so that your body doesn't give a good, you have to be, if there is a guest who comes to your body and who keeps if a guest comes to your home and they just keep on taking all the stuff, what is the best way we get that guest out of the system? We stop feeding them. We make their life miserable. Same way, once we get rid of the waste, we stop all the unhealthy microbes surviving in our body. And that is why detoxing is so important. And that is where the concept of Panchakarma comes, where we do a cellular level of cleansing, which we'll be talking later. So that is why germs are not the cause of the disease. Germs are only a triggering factor. What is the cause? Real cause is low metabolism and accumulated ama, that we call it in Ayurveda, or we call it toxins.
Lovely. Doctor, this reminded me of another way of looking at it. That people are forever talking about alkaline versus acidic, etc. Is that also a part of detoxing, or is that something completely different?
Okay. See, the concept of alkaline and acidic, it came when we understood the pH levels of water, 1 to 14, and the neutral is 7. And the people who came up with the theory, because our blood is slightly towards the alkaline than to the acidic nature. And that is why people are so afraid of uric acid, because there is an acidity kind of thing that can make joints painful. And it is like putting glass pieces in your bloodstream. So it can go and tear apart many things. So in Ayurveda, we didn't have pH meters at that point of time. So they had a much more simplistic approach of looking at it. That is like, there is a statement in Charaka and Sushruta Samhita which says, Sneha Saro Yam Hi Purushaha. Sneha means oiliness or healthy fat. Our body is a dominant portion to hold on to healthy fat. The more healthy fat and oiliness our body is having, our body is very healthy. See, how do you know if a car engine is functioning well? Because it has a good healthy oil. And when you service it, what is happening? We are eliminating the unhealthy oil and you're putting the good oil. So how to make sure the longevity of a car is reduced? You just get rid of the oil. What will happen? It will never be able to perform. So this oiliness helps in lubrication. To some extent, we can look at it, we can correlate this concept of acidity and alkaline. Because, see, in batteries, you heard of alkaline batteries. You never hear of acidic batteries. Alkaline batteries, what it helps for the proper energy conduction, which means the movement of the energy is much fantastic in an alkaline medium than in an acidic medium. We hear about alkaline batteries. We never hear of acidic batteries, right? In alkaline batteries, the movement of energy is much easier and simpler because of the ability to transmit, and the movement is much better. Same way, in Ayurveda, we say, in an oil medium, movement is much efficient than in a dry medium. The opposite of oiliness is dry. And if you take constipation, what is constipation? It's dryness of the gut. So the more oily you are, healthier your metabolism and ability to eliminate waste. So that is why what alkaline also does. Alkalinity helps for the efficient movement of things in your body, and acidity, it dries up your system. It creates a lot of inflammation.
So you're talking about the alkaline part, and I was about to tell you. Yeah, are there anything else that you want to talk about with the easy detoxing part?
We talked about making sure you're hungry before every meal. Mm-hmm. That is one of the part. And in Ayurveda, it's also said, you go and expose yourself to nature. You go and expose yourself to wind, expose yourself to healthy sunlight. All these are also ways of detoxing, because when you expose yourself to wind, your body is, exposing to something that is not comfortable to some extent. So the body increases its ability to fight against certain things. So, and sunlight, it is not just about vitamin D. We are exposing to the real life energy that is entering our planet. So these are also ways of detoxing, but it's not just detoxing, it's also about nourishing. When you go out, when you expose yourself to nature, you are in alignment with the energy flow of nature. That is one with sunlight, one with wind, and at the same time spending time with water bodies, spending time where you see a lot of nature, greenery. This is also a way of detoxing, because we are disconnected from the outside world where a lot of junk is coming inside you.
Okay, lovely. So getting out into nature, the wind element also makes a difference. Like, for example, going into the sea makes a difference. Going out to the sun makes a difference. All these aspects work together in this help, or in this method of trying to detox you and get these blocks out of your system.
Exactly. See, nobody told you if you go and watch a sunset, you will have a lottery win. But the moment you see a beautiful sunset in a water body, the golden ball sinking, suddenly we stop everything and go and watch that. There is something inside of us that pulls us towards there. It's a magical thing. So there is a huge energetic change that is happening when we watch a sunset or a sunrise, because, and it is also mentioned, the sun that we can see with our naked eye is more receptive for our body for vitamin D than the midday sun, which is full of ultraviolet rays. And those, people do it for tanning, and especially the Europeans and Caucasians, they do that, and that can lead to a lot of other problems. But we are talking about the sun that is pleasant for our naked eye. That is such a fantastic therapy. Not just, it is also a kind of detox, because we are eliminating all the toxins and we are engaging with what is nourishing to us.
Interesting. And I remember this, that when I'd come to stay at your retreat, it's a beautiful retreat by the beach, and I decided that every day I'm going to see the sunset there. So I would make sure that I saw the sunset every day, because that is something that we don't necessarily get time to do in our busy days and schedules that we have every day. So taking out that time, just sitting there, looking at the beach, looking at the sunset, was absolutely magical. You have a fantastic retreat. And, in fact, the way that your retreat was created was all along creating harmony between these detoxing methods, the natural detoxing methods, and how we should be bringing them into our life.
Exactly. Ashdin, see, today's concept of detoxing, we can also call it slowing down in your life. When we slow down, we give the body enough time to eliminate the unnecessary stuff. And what happens when you connect with nature is you slow down. And that's why there is a statement, nature is never in a hurry, but everything is accomplished. And that's what you see. When you connect with nature, you see everything is slow. Everything is so in alignment. And when you connect with that, your body is also connected with that energy. See, when you spend time with people who are anxious, you suddenly pick up the same energy. When you spend time with people who are calm and resilient, you also pick up that energy. That's what nature does to you in a collective way.
Beautiful, beautiful. Doctor, how can people find out more about the work that you do? How can people, get more information from you or visit your retreat?
The best is they can visit our website, sitaramretreat.com. We do authentic Panchakarma and Ayurveda and a holistic approach of healing of like metabolic disorders like polycystic ovarian syndrome, weight loss and infertility and high blood pressure, diabetes. I mean, all the metabolic disorders that people are the first world problems, we help to calm them down and relax them. And they can also visit my website, VigneshDevraj.com.
And please, please, please listen to Dr. Vignesh's podcast. We absolutely love it at home. We all listen to it. So it's a fantastic thing for you to just expand your mind, not just Ayurveda, but so many healing modalities you talk about on your podcast. So, where can people find your podcast, Doctor?
It's there in Spotify and iTunes, Ayurvedic Healing and Beyond. You will find it there.
Lovely. Superb. All right, Doctor, we're going to be talking about Panchakarma in our next podcast. I can't wait for us to start that.
Thank you. Thank you. Still looking forward.
So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Siet Tires and The Whole Truth Foods. We really appreciate your support. So, on Cyrus Says, Sagarika Ghosh, journalist, columnist, author, discusses books she has written, her experiences from reporting about the Babri Masjid demolition back in the day, and the upcoming state election. Cyrus also had a great episode with Devdutt Patnaik last week. Do check that out. Chuck narrates an interesting story about a company that shared its virtual expertise with other companies and empowered the virtual world. No, we're not going to tell you what the brand is, but go check out The Origin of Things. And Chuck also came back on Simplified this week from episode 200 onwards. He's back. Go check that out if you haven't had a chance to do so far. The habit coach Ashdin was joined by Sapna Gopalkrishnan, his co-trekker on Mount Kilimanjaro. They recollect the trek's memories and Sapna talks about the challenges she faced. On All Things Policy, Rachit Sheth talks to Sarthak Pradhan about Delhi's water crisis. This is due to the pollution of his major water source, the river Yamuna, and he discusses the case against the state of Haryana. We had Manish Dangi, Chief Investment Officer of the Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund on Paisa Vaisa with Anupam Gupta. They discussed India's financial report card with reference to the past decade, the hits and misses, and what the future of investing is going to look like. And with that, we hope to see you again next week.
Working Monday to Friday glued to your chair making you feel dull? Worry not. Get your 5-minute weekly dose of travel around the world with postcards from nowhere. Join me every Thursday as I explore the strange, obscure, and fascinating parts of the world and bring out facets of travel you may not have thought of before. You can find us on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcast from.